Welcome back to the Keeping It Real with KC podcast. I, of course, am your host, KC Phoenix. And yeah, good morning from Dallas. What's today? I have no idea. I know it's Tuesday, the date, 16th. That's what it is. Okay, so yeah, it's the 16th as I'm recording this. I'm doing a daily thought. Hopefully it shouldn't be too long. Before I go any further, KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. This podcast is carried on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Overcast, Bullhorn, Amazon Music, Audible, and several other podcasting platforms. Please feel free to listen to this podcast on whatever platform is most convenient for you. KIRWKC on all the social media platforms. So here we are doing this. I've been the love readings, knock on wood, should be going up this weekend for September. I might start uploading them a little bit earlier, piece by piece. Cause I just have a lot of plates in the air and I want to make sure that I'm able to get the readings done. So I was like, you know what? Let me just record one or two every day and get those done. So I finished Capricorn. I finished Capricorn yesterday. So I'll work on probably Aquarius and Pisces tonight and just set those to the side. Like I said, I'm just recording them and setting them to the side, and then I'll upload them as we get closer to the weekend. The general readings for September are already up for all of the signs. We're still in August, as I already said. All of the readings are already up for August. So the general, the love, and the money readings are up for August. Also, the full moon in Aquarius reading, which full moon in Aquarius happened last week. For the collective, that reading's up. An economy reading for the collective, the Lionsgate reading for the collective, and the new moon in Leo reading for the collective is up. So yeah, all of those are up. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If it's not your story, don't try to make it fit. Now that I got that out the way, let's talk about my daily thought. Because I had the situation, and the title of this is, Don't Get Mad at People Who Step Up and Do What You Want. And what I mean by that is, and this doesn't just have to be on the job, this can be in anything. It amazes me because some people are like, oh, well, I'm not doing that because what am I getting out of it? Or I'm not doing that because I don't like doing it. Or I'm not doing that because it's not part of my scope of support. Okay, that's totally fine. Everyone has this thing called free will. There's certain things in your soul contract that you have to fulfill, but outside of that soul contract, you have free will. And you can say, I'm not doing it. Just like if someone asks you for a ride to work, you can say, okay, I'm not taking them. You have free will. You can't get mad if another person takes them to work that, let's say, you don't like. You don't want someone associating with that. Or let's say you're in a relationship with someone and you want them to be self-sufficient. And they're like, hey, can you take me to work? And you're like, no, I'm not taking you to work. And then they get a ride from their ex. And then you're mad at the ex for giving them a ride, and you're mad at them for taking the ride from the ex, but you didn't want to give them the ride. You chose not to do it. You can't be mad at people who do what you said you won't do. Also in a relationship, there are certain things that people won't do when it comes to physical stuff. And it's like, okay, you didn't do it. You made that you drew the line in the sand and said, I'm not doing that. You still chose to be in the relationship with the individual. And then they end up dealing with somebody else who does what they wanted them to do. You know what I'm saying? It's one of these things where you just have to be like, okay, That's it. And in that situation, you can walk away from the relationship. But what's the point of getting mad about it? You had already made it clear that you weren't going to do it or do a certain thing. You already made that clear. So if somebody else does that thing in the relationship, you can walk away from the relationship, but you don't need to walk away mad. You can just walk away. Because you made the choice, okay, I don't want to do that type of thing or that type of stuff in my relationship. All right, own it. You know, this whole daily thought happened because I know some of you are like, KC, where did this daily thought come from? This daily thought happened because a situation came up on my job. An individual, and it went to the group as a whole because somebody was looking for a solution to something. It went to the group as a whole. One of the individuals answered, and pretty much they didn't resolve the issue per se. They didn't resolve it. It's sort of like they put it back on the people who were asking for the solution. So this individual did not step up. And for me, I was like, well, they came to us for help looking for a solution and they don't have one. So let me just look into it. For those who don't know my background, my Firebirds know my background. I'm trying to get comfortable in my chair here. I hit my camera. I have a background in quite a few things, but one of my strongest backgrounds was real estate because I dealt with fixing things. That is what I dealt with. Anything that came up, it landed on my desk. They were like, okay, figure this out, figure out what's going on. If you can fix it, great. If you can't, then just let us know what we need to do next. All right, fine. So it required me to investigate a lot. And that's just who I am. It's in my nature to investigate, to look for things. So I was just like, well, let me go ahead and look into this because I didn't know fully what was going on and I didn't care. I don't look at things where it's like, oh, well, I don't know anything, so I'm not going to touch it. It's more of, well, I don't know anything. Let me dive in and then I'll figure it out as I go along. That's sort of my thing. So I reached out to one of my contacts that would more than likely have the information that I needed. That contact did give me the information. I circled back up with the people who originally asked for the help. The individual who didn't do anything that had pushed it pretty much back on them found out about it. And then they were upset with me because I had decided to do that. But my thing was, okay, in this email chain, you played hot potato and didn't help. You made the choice not to step up and do anything. You can't get mad at someone for being willing to step up and figure something out. Like one of my coworkers say, that's a you issue. That's not a me issue. That's a you issue. This doesn't have anything to do with me. That's you. You made the choice to do that. I made the choice to be like, okay, well, let me see if I can help out here because they were asking for help. Let me see what I can find out. And that's what I'm talking about in life in general. People have to take a step back and really think. When it comes to doing things or when it comes to interacting with other people, there are people who are willing to do things that others aren't. Whether it comes to working a certain job, whether it comes to doing things in a relationship, whether it comes to truly saying what's on their mind, you know, that type of stuff. That could be an example too, where one person is quiet and they choose not to step up and say what's on their mind or offer feedback or offer this or offer that. But then the other person does step up and say, hey, this is on my mind. and then they get some type of recognition for it. But then the person who was quiet about it, then they're salty because the other person's being recognized for opening their mouth and speaking their mind. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't get mad at that. It's also a thing of, because there's a lot of classism in the world, and I hate the battle of the classes. But one thing for people who are successful that I've noticed is that they usually step up and do what other people don't. People have this idea, there's this narrative that people who are majorly successful, that most of them were born into it. That is completely false. Most people who are majorly successful had to work for it. And there were things that they did along their journey that other people did not do. Just like with Elon Musk, because Elon Musk cracks me up. People are like, oh, well, he got help from the government. Okay, do you know how hard it is? And not necessarily hard. I'm not going to use that word because the connotation that comes with it. Do you know how much stuff you have to go through to set all of that up to get assistance from the government when it comes to government loans and things like that? Unless you're lying on your paperwork like those PPP loans, but these are minor details. But for the most part, if you're doing everything above board, there's so much stuff that goes into that to get those things done. It's crazy. Now, on top of that, what people don't know sometimes, or at certain periods, is that when Elon Musk was dealing with Tesla, this man was working sometimes 100 hours a week. Because I think it was like, he said he was working 18 hours, sometimes even 20 hours a day at Tesla. He was sleeping in the factory on the floor as well, doing all of this stuff. Now, there may be somebody out there who's like, oh, I'm not working 18 hours a day. I'm not working 20 hours a day. I'm not about to sleep on the floor at the place I work. So on and so forth. Saying they're not going to do this, they're not going to do that. But then they might be mad at Elon Musk because, right now he's considered the richest man in the world. All of that stuff with Forbes, that can be debated. That can be debated because they don't even know what people are worth. They take certain things. They take what they believe someone's assets are. They take what they believe someone's liabilities are, and they sort of go with that. And then a lot of that is usually tied into stocks as well, and that can fluctuate. If the stock market crashed tomorrow, so would a lot of people's net worths. So, that being said. But the point is that there were things along their journey, just like I remember with Jeff Bezos, who I'm no fan of, where with Amazon, he started out with just, sending off books. There's like pictures of him starting in the whole process. Same thing with Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs slept in his office too. There were people along the line who they were just obsessed with getting things done and doing this type of work. But then there are other people who might look at them and say, oh, well, I'm not doing all of that. But then those same people are like, well, why do they have so much money? Why are they so successful? It's because they stepped up and did what you decided you didn't want to do. You can't get mad at people for stepping up and doing what you refuse to do. Now, there are ways to make money where you may not have to, and by make money, I'm talking about a significant amount of money. There are ways to make money where you may not have to sacrifice as much, but those are few and far between. For the most part, any type of, I don't want to say recognition, I don't want to say achievement, any type of, it's on the tip of my tongue. I need the words, please. Okay, thank you. For you to make any type of headway in life, in the game of life, there has to be a large amount of hard work. For the most part. There just is. There just has to be a large amount of hard work. Can you do the work smarter, not harder thing? Of course. There's only but so many hours in a day, 24. On top of that, you need to get to a point where your money's working for you. That's where residuals and royalties and all that stuff comes in, versus the earned income where you're paid based off of what you work. So it's like if you work 10 hours, you get paid for 10 hours. But with royalties and residuals, even if you're asleep, you have the money coming in. But the thing is that you have to build that up with hard work to get to that level in order to set up the working smarter, not harder. It's not a thing of, oh, well, I'm just going to start out the gate working smarter, not harder. Now, are there little things that you can do, shortcuts that you can do as you're starting out? Absolutely. But for the most part, it's going to be hard work. But going back to this daily thought, you can't be upset. You can't, or well, actually you can, because again, going back to free will, it doesn't help you growth-wise to be upset with people who are willing to do what you made a conscious decision not to do. It doesn't help you growth-wise. If anything, it keeps you stagnant, because then it puts you in that victim mentality. It's almost like, at one of my old jobs, we used to do all of these training things to like psychology type stuff, psychological type trainings. And one of the things was the glasses that had the V and the glasses that had the A. And the glasses that had the V were victim glasses. The glasses that had the A were accountability glasses. The lenses were shaped like V's and lenses shaped like A's. So it's like, and one thing they would say is like, okay, you need to take off your victim glasses and put on your accountability glasses. That's what you need to do. Take off your victim glasses and put on your accountability glasses. And I feel that for some people, when they're upset over the actions of others who do things that they're not willing to do, they're wearing the victim glasses instead of the accountability glasses. Now, going back to the relationship thing, because I can hear people now, well, they knew that I wouldn't do this when I got into a relationship with them. Okay, that's fine. But again, why be upset about it? Just walk away from it and own it. It's like, okay, well, clearly you don't want to be with me because I don't do this and that in the relationship, and you found somebody who does this and that. Don't wear your victim glasses. Just, okay, fine. And that's not saying that you're a bad person if you don't do this and that in a relationship. Again, we are all individuals. What works for one person may not work for another person. So there's nothing to minimize an individual or diminish an individual when it comes to that. It's just, it's not a match, and that's fine. But don't be upset because the other individual, you already knew what they liked, and you decided not to do those things anyway, hoping that, oh, well, it'll pass. No, just own it. Don't be mad about it and move on to someone who matches what you like to do. And that's not just physically, that's just other things. There may be people who like to stay inside a lot. There may be people who like to go outside a lot, or whatever. But my point is, when it comes to actions, it is not helpful for people to be upset with another individual for stepping up to do what they wouldn't. And that is my daily thought. KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. This podcast is carried on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Overcast, Bullhorn, Amazon Music, Audible, and several other podcasting platforms. Please feel free to listen to this podcast on whatever platform is most convenient for you. KIRWKC on all the social media platforms. Until next time, be blessed.